One headline that best describes your 2025 so far.
Oh my God. What headline?
Yeah,
Shit show.
literally. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna end those with that one. It's we're gonna end with that one.
Hi, gay. I'm PJ Brescia, they, them pronouns, your host of the BabyGay Podcast and the founder of the BabyGay community, celebrating the coming out process through storytelling, advocacy, and togetherness. I came out later in life and I knew nothing about queer culture. I'm still not an expert, so let's go on a journey of self-discovery together with amazing guests, diverse coming out stories, LGBTQI plus history, and everything in between. This is the BabyGay Podcast. Coming out looks good on you.
Hello and welcome back to the BabyGay Podcast. I'm your host, PJ Brescia, they, them, and today we have a very special guest, the one and only Tim Pulliam, who is an ABC News journalist. Tim, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, PJ,
Yes.
for bringing me. This is amazing platform, and it's so necessary.
Thank you.
Fully support you.
Thank you. Well, like to give the audience some background, we met, I'm very proud of how we met.
Yeah.
We met last October 11th. It was on the actual day, right?
Absolutely. It's on the national day. Oh, like Friday. National Coming Out Day.
It was National Coming Out Day, the October 11th. And so BabyGay partnered with the Black Cat. We're here in the Black Cat, the historic
The
Black Cat.
beautiful Black Cat.
Yes, the beautiful Black Cat, and where we recognize National Coming Out Day as an LA City holiday.
Woo! Finally.
Yes.
Yes.
So Tim was covering it for ABC. So
And you did such a fantastic job. The event, the people, the comedy.
Thank you.
Margaret Cho.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, she was amazing.
Amazing.
I enjoyed covering it.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch it, go to my Instagram. It's
Yes.
there. It's posted.
Yay.
ABC7 Tim.
Yes, please plug ABC7 Tim. I'm very curious, what's like a day in the life of being in a newsroom?
Let's see. One word I would describe it is collaborative.
Okay.
Because there are so many pieces to the puzzle and everybody has their piece. And if one piece falls short, it can have a domino effect, And so I love the fact that we are all working towards the same goal and vision, which is to put quality content on the air for the viewer.
Yeah.
We have a team of reporters, we have a team of assignment managers, and they're collecting all the stories of the day, the press releases, what's happening, nationally and locally, and they're deciding, divvying it out, what we need to cover.
Yeah.
That covers the entire community or a story that has widespread impact in the community. There are situations where I notice that in the industry, mine and yours, that there are still people who don't feel comfortable being out, even here in LA.
100%.
And so I think that was a bit of a shock for me moving here 3 years ago and thinking that this is where I'm going to be free, which I do. I feel free.
Yeah.
But not everybody has that same feeling,
Yeah.
And so it's like moving into those spaces where you're thinking, oh, this is going to be an open space. I can talk freely. And then you're being told, wait, I'm not out.
Right. Right.
They don't know that let's not take any photos.
Yeah.
That type of situation.
Yeah, that's challenging because it's like you can't rush anyone. You can't tell anyone that, no, you just be yourself. It's going to be so much better. Because like, while we know that, and I do believe that, I feel like you letting go of those restrictions on yourself and the lack of authenticity, because I do feel like the more authentic you are, like the more divine, magical things happen. And that's what I felt in my life. Like, as I've been peeling back the onion of who I am and like, what do I want? What do I like? And I start to let go of these like preconceived notions of who I am and who I think I should be.
Yeah.
Like, because society has put so much on us and like these boxes and like, it's just so wild. I don't know.
We're constantly becoming. Yeah. And I think I read First Lady Michelle Obama's book about that. You're constantly becoming and changing. So I remember in one of the chapters, she said, I don't like when people say to kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because it's so limiting. You can evolve. It limits you from evolution. And so I think that speaks to what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, I'm 36 years old right now, and I have never felt more authentically myself than I have in my life. And and it's freeing in that sense. And then the duality of it. So there's always a negative side to everything, right? It's like the negative ego bad talk in my head is like, well, you're like, you're old, and like, oh, look at all these young people who are already in that like freeness, and like, look,
and you're late,
and I'm late, and
you've got to play catch up.
And like, but that's bullshit. It's like we all have our own journey and our own path, and I believe everything happens for a reason, and it's like one thing leads to the next, and like it's so exciting. It's like I don't know, life becomes like this, not a game, but like it becomes where realizing that I have no control of things, like because I'm a spiritual person, I'm not a religious person.
Okay.
And I do believe in a higher power.
Same.
And it's like, so on one side I am pretty woo woo, and like, you know, I have no control, and I've seen these wild magical things happen. And then the other side is like my hyper anxiety, never doing enough, like wanting to control everything. And so it's like that spectrum. It's like when I'm in that hyper, I have to like chill the fuck out. Like, you don't have control, so just let go, because everything is kind of gonna work out in its divine timing. And so I mean, I think I say this on every single episode: don't chase, attract.
I love that.
Yeah. What's your woo-woo levels?
My woo-woo levels?
Or like, I feel like you're tapped in a sense. Tell me, yeah.
Okay, so I meditate.
Okay.
For one. So whenever I have anxiety, or I'm nervous about life, or things are not working out the way that I want, you know, I get small into myself.
Yeah.
Right? And I just try to meditate on something, or manifest that, you know, something that I want.
Yeah.
And that kind of drives me and energizes me.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that's kind of what I do. I am spiritual, not very religious. I believe in a higher power. I grew up in the church, which is a large reason why it took a long time for me to come out as gay. I was 29, okay? And I'm in my 40s now. And so that's late, right? That's a whole period of your 20s that you were in the closet, where people didn't really know what you were doing. But a large part of that was because of my upbringing. You know, I grew up believing and being taught that this is not something that boys do. Yeah. You know, and it was tough. You know, trying to hide myself through college, through the early years of my TV career. Yeah. You know, pretending to be straight. Yeah. Being invited to events with my heterosexual colleagues, and they want to hook me up with someone, a woman, and, you know, playing that game. And it felt so like a mask. Yeah. Right. You know, like I'm really not being myself. Yeah. And so always I feel bad for those individuals that are still hiding. Yeah. But I realize it is their time. Exactly. Their journey. Exactly. They have to go through it. I can just only support them when and where I can. Exactly.
Okay, going back to, you know, basically being in the closet and, you know, going to these, because when I was in the closet, all of my friends were straight. I was in a very straight cult. Like I had no connection to the queer community. Okay. You know, it gave me a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, angst.
Did you know you were queer in the sense of like, were you with Matt like during this time, but like just closeted to the world, but out to yourself?
That is such a great question. So let me back it up just a bit, right? So I would say in adolescence, in college, I knew that I was different. Yeah. I mean, literally, I probably knew that I was different in preschool, but I really knew that I was different when, you know, I started gravitating towards men or boys, teens at that time. There was a show called Oz on HBO. Are you familiar with it?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Okay. Oh, you haven't?
No.
Oh, gosh. So it's about, you know, prison life, right? And all the things that happen in prison. And a lot of that had to do with homosexuality, you know, homosexual relationships between these prisoners. And you see shower scenes. And me as a teenage boy, you know, that did something for me. And so I knew around that time period, this is in the 90s, that, okay, you know, you may think girls are pretty or you may like girls, but you clearly like boys as well. But it was always ingrained in me that this is not what you're supposed to do. So I continued to hide it, right? And I did not act on it at all. Although I wanted to explore. That was something that I did privately, you know? So then I go to college. And it's the same situation. I joined the gospel choir in college. So I'm continuing that path down to being conservative and homophobic, if you will, internalized homophobia.
Yeah.
Because in a sense, why would you continue to go towards something that continues to tell you that you are living in sin? Make sense? And so that was the hard part for me, even in college, where I love the support and the familiarity with going to church and being a part of a gospel choir where they believe the same things that I believed in growing up. But it was a constant reflection of, this is what you're doing, the thoughts that you have, the feelings that you have are not right.
Yeah.
They're wrong.
Yeah.
So all through college, I did not act on my sexuality, which, coming back now as an adult in my 40s, I'm thinking that would have been the opportune time to really get my life, explore and do all the things that I need to do to really understand my sexuality. But that happened much later. So I think your question was, when did I figure out that I was?
Well, I think the first step, typically, I mean, not always, obviously, but like coming out to self is like the first step. And then it's your close circle, and then it's the larger community and the world. I, for example, I too, in preschool, I remember having like naked dreams of men and and as a young person and like feeling that excited feeling, and just a lot of confusing emotions and shame and all that stuff at a really early age. And then throughout my life, I started to reel it in. Like, I remember actively in middle, I mean, it was always my biggest anxiety was, do people think I'm gay? Are people talking and saying that I'm gay? Like, that was always something that was in the back of my head. And it wasn't until middle school that I like actively was like, oh, I need to reel this in and like basically like be straight. I really need to start saying bro more. Like, I was like actively choosing things to do to be more masculine.
Yeah.
So I had that, I kept that going throughout my life until I came out at 27. And it was, so I never had that period in like my early 20s where I was like secretly hooking up with men, but straight to the world, because I just have seen and spoken to a lot of people about this, and it's like, I think that's maybe on the minority of things. Like, I think a lot of people have almost like a dual life that they live while closeted, where I didn't necessarily have that dual life. I was just like, I was hanging on to my straightness as long as possible, and then it just like, I couldn't hold on any longer.
Gotcha. Now I remember the question, which is, when did you start having those experiences? Right. So that happened, again, after college. I'm a professional at this point. I was around 25, 26. And I had a friend of mine who was also in the business in TV news come out to me. And we were really close. We're like, best friends. And so I think he felt comfortable coming out to me because he also thought that I might come out to him. But I didn't. I just kind of let him know that, okay, I understand, that's cool, but I didn't think he believed me. So he would slowly try to take me to places to get me comfortable, right? So he took me to my first gay club. It was during a journalism conference. And it just blew my mind. I was freaked out, to be honest with you, right? To see all of the things that you're seeing in a gay club. I just wasn't prepared for it. Shortly after that, I had another friend come out to me. And so they were also wondering if I would come out to them. So here we are, we're in this group, and we're not actually being honest with ourselves until like one comes out and then another one comes out, and they're waiting for the other to come out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
And so in that situation, this other friend took me to a house party, and it was nothing but men there. And I caught it right away, and I wasn't sure what was going on, but it was very clear that they were interested in me and the guys getting to know me. And so out of one of those experiences, I saw a guy that I was attracted to, and I low key let him know that I was attracted to him.
Yeah.
And I just remember the anxiety or the nervousness even to do that.
Yeah.
And that kind of led to my first crush with a guy, and, you know, kissing my first guy, you know, and other things.
Yeah.
But it was all of that was behind the scenes and in this underground world. It's just very interesting, specifically with being young, Black, and gay. There's these underground social gatherings. Does that make sense?
Tell me more. Yeah.
And I just remember it's a real thing, and I know it exists today just because, again, the South is what it is in many places. And so there's these meetups, you know, there's these group threads, there's these group texts, and you just meet up at someone's home or at a social event, and that's what you guys are doing, is just building community.
Yeah.
You know, and that is what helped me to get to the place of getting more and more comfortable.
Yeah.
Coming out.
Yeah.
And kind of having those what I call den mothers.
Yeah.
You know, these men my age who were further along than me, helping me get comfortable.
Yeah. The queer community is one of the only minority groups where we don't have our direct elders to kind of guide us. Like, most likely your parents aren't queer, so you don't have like someone kind of teaching you about the culture, teaching you about the history. So it's like, we're really like, it's kind of like figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
So it's important to get that mentorship, and a lot of people don't. Like, I didn't have one. Like I think that's kind of like what I'm trying to build with this, is like giving people a resource to kind of learn specifically about that coming out journey, because it's a process, and it's a never ending process. Honestly, it's like we're so open right now, but like we go somewhere maybe in a different country, and it's like, oh right, like the rest of the world is not as accepting. Like I have to go kind of back in the closet, and like that's its own set of emotions. So going back, I want to hear more about these experiences. Like, was it more about building community just in general, or was there a sexual element to those?
From my experience, it wasn't a sexual element.
Yeah.
It is a place where you can, you know, meet someone and then take it somewhere else. But these were like social gatherings. Yeah. You know, and Real Housewives of Atlanta was really big back then, right? Okay. And so there would be these moments where you're all gathered around just to watch Real Housewives drink and have fun. Right. And then one or two may go out, you know, and hang out somewhere later, you know, afterwards, you know, that type of thing. Okay. But it definitely served its purpose.
And what percentage of that community would you say was like closeted?
Oh gosh,
roughly.
Oh man, I would say 75%.
Really?
Back then.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking, this is early 2000s.
Yeah.
These are like your executives. Yeah. These are professional Black men, right? That run the gamut as far as their careers, teachers, entrepreneurs. Yeah, you just name it.
Now I think it's like Gen Z is 20% queer or something, but you know, like, it's more than 20%. Like it's more. I would say, you know, I don't know what they exactly.
I mean, they're very fluid.
Yeah.
I want to mention that, like, I have a close relative of mine. She's a part of Gen Z. Yeah. And she recently, maybe about a year or so ago, told us that she was pansexual. You know, and I'm just thinking to myself, she's like in her 20s. Yeah. And you know, when I was in my 20s, that is not where I was, right? Where I even felt comfortable doing something like that. So I was just so impressed that she felt so proud to do that. Yeah. And my family has just rallied around her. And I just feel like we are in a different time. But I just thought that was amazing. Just to speak back to your point, that more and more of them are open to talking about their sexuality and being more fluid. Yeah.
Oh, I've learned so much from my Gen Z friends and just Gen Z culture, them being so authentically themselves. I mean, I think they have their own issues. I'm a millennial, so I'll speak from millennial to Gen Z. We all have issues. We all have different issues. But Gen Z has been so freeing. Like when I came out to my niece, who's Gen Z, she's currently 16. And her reaction was like, oh, like she was 11 at the time. And it was like, oh, all my friends are gay. Like she's gay, he's gay, they're queer. Like I was like, what? Like at 11? Like what it boils down to, especially with all this anti-trans rhetoric, it's like my feeling is the reason that they're so hardcore anti-trans is because they don't know someone that is trans. Right. And if they just had a trans friend, trans person in their life, like I think to humanize everyone, we're all equal. We all have love. We all have fear. We all like just want to be accepted and seen
and validated.
And it's just been so tough with what's been going on in the current state of the world.
Yeah. Imagine covering it.
Yeah. Well, I want to get into that.
Oh boy. Yeah.
October 11th feels like 10 years ago.
It really does, because so much has happened since then. The fires.
Yeah.
A new administration.
Yeah.
Oscars. That's something positive. Yeah. And then you have the ICE detention immigration policy.
Yeah.
That the Trump administration is implementing.
Yeah.
It's been tough on our community.
It's been insanely tough. How have you been doing with all of this?
I'll be honest with you. I have had stress during the protests, because in the beginning they're peaceful for sure. It has been nerve-wracking. Yeah. I'm glad that it has calmed down a little bit in terms of the chaos, but the people are still out on the streets demonstrating.
Yeah, as they should be. I mean, like on social media, I've just seen left and right journalists being attacked, being shot at, arrested.
Yeah.
It's like, what is going on?
Yeah. It's sad.
It's really sad.
Yeah, like a video clip went viral showing, I think, a Australian reporter getting hit with one or something like that. Yeah, that freaked me out.
That was crazy.
It's crazy.
What kind of piece of advice do you have for folks to be supportive and be active in their stance, but also be safe?
I got you. So, some people are not wanting to be on the front lines demonstrating, which is fine. There are several organizations that support the people that are protesting. Churla is one that comes to mind. You can donate. Yeah. You can donate to these organizations that are for immigration rights. Attorneys are out there. You can, reach out to civil rights attorneys, find out what support they need. Yeah. There's different mechanisms to support. You don't always have to be on the front lines.
Yeah. I'm going to shout out my dear friend, Carla Ibarra from the LA Civil Rights Department. And I just saw a clip of her being a moderator, and it's, we're all this community, and it's okay if you're the person that doesn't want to be on the front lines, but maybe you love cooking. Like maybe you cook for the people that go on the front lines. Like we all have a role that we can play. Yeah. And it's a wild time. Like it feels like we're going backwards, and I think that we all just need to stay vigilant with what's going on. I don't know, is that the right word? But
vigilant. Well-read.
Yeah, well-read.
Know what's happening in the news.
Yeah, because
be informed.
Be informed. Like there's just been so many times where like I will speak for myself. It's like I've been so busy, and I have been keeping up necessarily with everything that's going on, but like we're now in a kind of almost extreme period where it's like, no, you can't do that anymore. Like you just have to stay on top of current events, because it's really affecting our community specifically.
Absolutely. I have some friends who will just dedicate a couple of days a week that they'll just consume, and then they'll take a mental break.
That's good.
So if you need to do that, do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like build in a routine that works for you, because it can on the extreme side, it can also be extremely overwhelming.
Absolutely.
And feel like every day is the last day of the world. So what on that note, like what's grounding you during these times?
This episode is sponsored by Everywhere is Queer. It's a worldwide map of over 19,000 queer-owned businesses around the world. So check that out. It's really important. If you're enjoying the podcast and you're interested in learning more about the baby gay community, make sure to visit our website at www.baby.gay to discover more info about our events, merch, and all the ways to connect. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and share. Love you.
On that note, like what's grounding you during these times?
Oh, man, love. I recently got married.
Congratulations.
A couple of months ago. And I think that is the sweet spot that I'm in right now. Yeah. Right? Like work can get crazy. It can get stressful. I love what I do. I've been doing what I've been doing for 20 years, if you can believe that. So I just love the storytelling portion of it. But I think what helps me is when I get home and I see my partner and I have someone to take care of that takes care of me. And I think that's the grounding spot that I'm in right now.
Let's dive into this. I want to hear more. Where did y'all meet?
Oh, this is a story.
Okay.
So we met on Instagram.
Okay.
During the pandemic. He was here in LA. I was in North Carolina, and I was working at our sister ABC station in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, okay? I have a friend that followed him. Okay. He's an actor, so he puts on all these characters and costumes. He's funny on Instagram.
Yeah.
His name is Nick Few.
Okay.
And so she started sending me all of these posts from him. I had recently gone through a breakup, healed from it. Therapist told me to get back out there. You're gonna have to kiss a lot of frogs. So she just piled up my DM box with all of these posts, and I finally got a chance to look at him. And I'm scrolling, and I'm like, he's funny, but he's also attractive.
Right.
He's hot.
Yeah.
Let me slide in his DMs.
Yeah.
Per my therapist.
Yeah.
And
it's a good therapist.
Yeah, it's a very good therapist. Yeah. And so I did that. And you know, I was nice. I was flirty. I wasn't too forward. Mm-hmm. Just said, you know, you're doing a lot of great work. I love what you do on Instagram. Mm-hmm. You're attractive, you know? Mm-hmm. And he responded within 30, 40 minutes. And again, he's a different time zone, Pacific time, I'm Eastern time. He responded like that. Yeah. And so that led to texting each other, to talking on the phone, to FaceTime, to actually having a relationship without actually having met each other. Okay. So we did that for a year before we actually physically met.
Yeah. Wow.
And this is during the pandemic. So nobody was really flying, but finally we could. And so my first time seeing my boyfriend was a year later when we met up in Palm Springs.
Were you calling each other boyfriends before you met in person?
Yes. We made it official before we actually physically met, which is, you look back at that, that's crazy. But we were talking on the phone every single day. And I think that's what helped, right? Yeah. Everything was shut down. Yeah. So we couldn't go anywhere. All we had was the phone. Yeah. And we literally, and that was the requirement that he made me adhere to, was that I have to see your face every single day. So we built a relationship very quickly. Yeah. In a year time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Have you written about that? Because you need to write about that.
I have not written about it. Yeah. I am writing a book about my experience, but that's not in the book.
Okay. Can we talk more about that? Or,
sure.
Yeah, let's talk. Sure. I want to hear about the book.
Yeah. So I'm currently writing a book about my experience being a late bloomer. Yeah. You know, coming out of the closet at 29. Yeah. You know, I was a young professional at the time, and it's loosely based off of my experience, right? I, you know, come from a small community, rural town in North Carolina, where it's the Bible Belt, and, you know, they preach, you know, homosexuality is a sin. And so that really made me want to keep my truth inside well into my 20s, until I finally got to the point where, you know, I just don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. I'm self-sufficient. I have a career. I live out on my own. I can take ownership of this and be true. And so I did that by going to a big city, and letting that be my coming out. Yeah. So in the book talks about, you know, that experience, you know, this young 20-year-old moving to the big city to find himself. He falls in love. It gets crazy. Yeah. He has some great experiences in the homosexual community, the gay community. Yeah. And that's what the book is going to be about.
So it's non-fiction or fiction?
It's fiction.
It's fiction, but
it's
historical fiction.
Right. That's a point of reference. Right. Because you know, and we talked about this a bit. I was able to build community once I got away from that I guess that society or that group that called it a sin, you know, when I found my people, my tribe. Yeah. And a large part of that was moving away. Yeah. And so that's kind of what the book is about, is just, you know, finding your community to allow you to be free and happy. Yeah. But what comes along is heartbreak, love, infatuation, and all the things that come with us.
Yeah. That's incredible. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it to be a bestseller, which it will be.
Manifesting.
Yes. I feel like I've shared this with you. I'm going to share this on the podcast, but like that, we have that parallel where it's like I was right. BabyGay started as my coming out story, but in a fictional version. And it was through writing that, it was a web series initially. And through writing that season, which was like 80 pages, divided into like 7 episodes or something. Wow. And I learned so much about myself through this character, which was me. But like, did you find through the writing of it, like,
it was cathartic? Yeah. You know, especially to talk about the low points of our life, right? Yeah. we can be judgy as a community, you know, and we can be hurtful to people who are trying to find themselves and new to this, right? The lingo.
Gays.
Yeah, the baby gays, right?
Yeah.
So there was, I write about some of those experiences where I may not have said the right thing, you know, and being admonished for it. But so it was cathartic to put that out there because I know that somebody else can connect to that.
Yeah.
You know, when you're trying to learn the community at such a late stage in life.
And it's interesting because, like, you know, I was roughly the same age as you, and now going to all these Pride festivals and saying my story, I'll meet all these older folks that like go to, oh, well, I came out in like 60, so like that's not late. I'm like, okay, well, you know, like it's all relative.
It's
and
relative.
Like, yeah,
it is relative.
Yeah. So everyone has their own time, but it's going to also to what you're saying. It's like, just put it out there, because it's like while you don't think it's a big deal, like you don't know how it's going to strike a chord with someone and really help them. Like, absolutely. That's when we do our booths at Pride festivals, we invite people to share their coming out stories. And I've had people say, hey, you know, mine's not that special. Like, and then I'm like, no, trust me, like just say whatever it is. Like, it doesn't have, there's no right answer. And they come and they share it, and it's like the most profound thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
I'm like,
of course. Because we all have a story.
Yeah.
All have a story. I think what helped me also during this period, this is like around 2011, 2012. Well, actually before that, when I was underground still, not ready to come out, but I was reading literature, right? And
what were you reading? Well, yes.
The author E. Lynn Harris. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He is a renowned Black gay author within the Black gay community. Okay. And just Black community, because a lot of Black women loved his writing as well. Yeah. But he wrote this, his first book was Invisible Life. Okay? And so you can kind of read just from the title, where you're this young Black gay man, the character in his book, Raymond Tyler, lawyer, successful, attractive, but he's not straight. He's gay and he's hiding and he's trying to figure it out. And so I gravitated towards that character. And it was that book that really helped me understand, okay, I'm not alone. Yeah. I'm not alone in this. Yeah. Yes, I have friends coming out around me with young professionals, and then I see this literature that's also affirming how I'm feeling. Yeah. Where Raymond Tyler is finding, this other character, Basil Henderson. He's a athletic football player, attractive, and I could see that in my life, me finding other men attractive, And so it helped me while I was stewing a bit underground, to understand. But I'll tell you, what really made me decide, okay, it's time now. Don Lemon came out. And his book, I think it was 2011, it was Transparent. And there had always been grumblings, but when he put it in his own words in that book, I felt even more seen, because this is somebody in my industry, right? That is at the top, and people look to him, and now he's being a role model. And so that really let me know, okay, Tim, you can do this. Yeah, you can do this. And I'm glad I got a chance to tell him that through some of his friends. We have mutual friends. So I've met Don before, but we've never even talked about that. Yeah. It's always just been like talking about work.
It feels like, there are some notable names at the top, let's say, of your industry that are queer, but it doesn't feel like they're necessarily like the biggest champions of the queer community. Like not that they're anti, but I
know what you're saying.
I feel like it's almost like they really try to kind of like not highlight that fact, and I get that. Do you think that's important in the journalist community?
I think, and this is just from my opinion, I guess, if you will, I think journalists, those that are true and tried, right? We always try to figure out how we can balance not being so much of the story and how much we share, because we don't want to necessarily seem biased. For instance, like any type of story that comes out, with the Trump administration that is against the LGBT community, it may call into question, can Tim cover that story fairly and unbiased.
Right.
And so I think that is a challenge that some journalists, high profile gay journalists, may struggle with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to be so much of the story that I can't cover it.
Right. No,
you know?
I haven't thought about it like that. They need to be kind of this neutral, just the storyteller that unbiased storyteller.
Yeah. I clearly do not like what's happening with the Trump administration,
Yeah.
you know, and it's just hard because I want people of all backgrounds to say Tim can report the news fairly, right? Despite being gay, despite being black or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's always trying to toe that line.
Yeah.
It's fine. But I just wanted to share that with you, that it's just, it is tough.
No, I mean, that's
really
the reality. And I feel like we're in a specifically one of the most challenging times that I've ever lived through. I mean, in its own specific way, where it just feels like the country that we've been in is like turning like truly against us. I mean, maybe it's just also where I'm now the most like excited about my queerness, or it's like I think I'm, instead of being okay, because I had my own talk about like we all internalized homophobia.
Absolutely.
Like I definitely had it as well, and it's like peeling that away and working through that.
Yes.
And then feeling like this time last year, I was like, fuck yeah, like we're moving forward. We're so progressive. This is so great. Like, thanks.
Yes, but we gotta be hopeful, right?
Yes.
We gotta hold on to hope, even though everything seems like it's on fire.
Yes.
There's got to, and this is where I draw from. We just celebrated Juneteenth yesterday,
Yes.
right? And I think about my ancestors, and that's a day where you really do think about your ancestors, right? And I'm talking about great-grandmother, great-grandfather, and then, their great-grandfather. They made it through so much with less than what I have. How much more will I be able to overcome with the resources? So yesterday, that was kind of what I was reflecting on with everything that is happening. I'm going to be okay. We're going to be okay.
Yes.
We're going to be okay.
Yes.
Minorities, we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
People who are disenfranchised, we're going to be okay because we have found a way time and time again to rise above.
Yeah.
With the bare minimum.
Yeah. With the National Coming Out Day of the 60s, it's like they were fighting and they were okay. I mean, yeah, we're doing it again, and it's just we need to know that we'll be okay, take it one day at a time. I think for me it's like, specifically with my trans friends, like they are so incredible, and every day is a journey and a half, and I just want to be a support system for them, and I take turns of just like helping each other, and this is really where community is so important, and that's where I just want to keep building community. I really do love your feeling of just one day at a time. We're gonna be okay.
Gonna be okay.
We're gonna be okay. What are some personal and professional goals that you have?
Well, we talked about the book. I really hope to find a literary agent that looks at the manuscript and says, yes, we need this in the industry. This has an audience. So my hope is to get published.
You will.
Thank you. I'm manifesting that. And other than that, I mean, I love what I'm doing right now at ABC. A lot of times people ask, what's next? And I'm just enjoying this. It took a lot of work to get to this market. This is the number 2 market in the country. And like I said, I've been in this business for a long time, and I had to go to a lot of small cities, medium-sized cities, large cities, and now I'm in a major city. So I'm just enjoying this, right? And just open to whatever God has in store next.
That's amazing. Staying present. That's something that is important.
Yes.
Doing this, my therapist has put me onto this program that I really love, and it's a slog, but like I really understand the roots of it, and it's kind of breaking us humans down into basically our saboteurs and our sage. We have our saboteurs, and we might know what they are, we might not. Hopefully you can get to a place where you do know what they are, so you can kind of stop falling to their traps, let's say. But like basically we're never going to get rid of them, and how we defend them is building up our sage and to counterbalance them.
I like that. I'm a worrier, right? And so I think we talked about this as well. I like to meditate to help calm the worry.
Yeah,
right?
That's good.
Yeah, so I think that's one of my saboteurs.
What's your meditation routine?
Oh, well, it's in my bathroom. I turn some quiet music on, and I just think about the things that I want to manifest, or just being present where I am in this cool, dimly lit bathroom, and just allowing whatever crazy thought, worry thought to acknowledge it.
I love that.
And let it go.
Yeah.
So it varies.
Let it go through, like see thoughts.
Feel it, because you're going to get distracted in meditation. It happens. Yeah. So if the thought pops up, acknowledge it, has no impact on me, letting it go. It's just a feeling, I'm letting it go. Yeah.
That's really powerful. Yeah, I have gone through my own meditation journey where at my peak, so I was I'm very curious about TM, Transcendental Meditation. Have you heard of that?
No.
I'm definitely not an expert. I know very little, but
give me cliff notes.
So it's where you go and you basically, it sounds a little culty, but like you have to pay and like then you're given like a mantra, and it's 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes at night.
Okay.
That's all I know. I mean, I haven't done that initiation at all, but like at my peak, I had kind of through this other kind of group, I got a mantra, and I was doing 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes at night.
Okay.
And I am at a place where I'm very far from that now. Like I try to meditate 10 minutes in the morning.
That's all I do.
Yeah.
And it's not every morning for me.
Yeah.
Again, knowing what your saboteur is. So it's really when I feel it. Feel it coming on, that agitation. Like, oh, this is happening.
Yeah.
Oh, let me calm this.
Yeah. I gravitate towards like journaling has been so helpful for me.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
Just about to say that. Yes.
Journaling. Like that's I'm much more excited about getting to my journal in the morning and just writing a page. Have you done the Artist Way?
No. What is that?
Art of Sway. So the Artist Way.
Artist Way. Okay.
So it's this like famous book from, I think it's 89, late 80s, early 90s.
Oh.
So it's really about kind of like detaching from your inner child and seeing that all of our, core wounds are related to our inner child.
Yes.
And basically taking care of this inner child. And it's like us learning how to take care of ourselves. And
that's what you find out in therapy.
Right.
That you're literally holding the inner child, your younger self, and saying, you are okay.
You're okay. I see you. You're safe.
I had that moment with my therapist.
Yeah.
Have you seen that in like TV shows or whatever where they're
like holding?
Kind of cliche,
I'm down. I'll do it.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
In the moment, I was like, "This." I saw a TV show like this, but I'm gonna do this because I need this.
Yeah.
So
I'm a caretaker in my core, and I will always take care of others before I take care of myself.
That's your love language.
Yeah, I guess. What is that?
Active service. Yeah. But you can have 2 or 3 love languages.
One of my sister Katie has 3 sons, ages 9, 7, and 5. And I went, and they live in Houston. And I went for Vince, my godson's first communion. Yes, first communion. And then my sister and her husband left on vacation for 4 days, and so I went to I babysat them for 4 days, and
they were well taken care of.
I made them breakfast, lunch, and dinner, drove them to and from school, put them to bed, after school, I've never been involved in a child's life.
That's amazing, and they're going to remember that at that age, at that pivotal age.
Yeah.
You're theirs for life.
I loved it, but I also it was so healing for me. Like I loved it, and I was like, I want to do this every year. Like I would love to do this annually.
Do it, because they will not forget it.
Yeah.
Do you want to be a parent one day?
Well, it's interesting because like as a young person, I wanted 10 kids. I remember saying that to my parents. I want 10 kids. Like, okay. Then like when I was older, closeted, like I just wanted to party. And I mean, because I was like a party person, and like I ran from my sexuality through partying. So I was like, no, fuck kids. Like, I just want to party. Like, I want to travel the world and party. And then coming out at 27, I was like, actually, I do want kids again. Like, this is so nice. Like, I'm coming back to my core. And then, you know, now it's harder for us to have families, and that's a sad reality. So is it something that I'm really open now? I mean, now this year in particular, with all this parenting 101, I do definitely want to have kids. I think that it would be really challenging being a single parent. Like, I have so much respect for single parents because it's a lot. So, like, in my ideal world, I would like a husband, partner, and I would like a family with them is my goal. What about you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I definitely would like to. And my husband and I, we've talked about that. No time soon.
Yeah.
But we definitely feel like we would be good dads, loving.
Yeah.
His love language is acts of service. Yeah. And I see how he takes care of me. So I just know he'll take care of our child. So that's the goal.
Yeah.
So I'm manifesting that as well.
I love that. Okay, so one of our final segments. Well, do you want to do a little rapid fire questions?
Sure.
Okay. Breaking news or long form doc?
Ooh, breaking news.
Okay. Favorite story you ever told in under 30 seconds?
Shirley Caesar, gospel legend. She came up with this song, Beans, Greens, Tomatoes, and it became viral. It's considered the Thanksgiving song. Yeah. People know it.
I love that. Most chaotic field reporting moment?
We were covering a protest in East LA, and I was in the middle of an interview. My photographer was behind me. A homeless man came up and pushed the camera onto my photographer's head. He was concussed, fell to the ground. I'm looking around. Homeless guy is running away. It was chaos. We had to call police. He had to make sure he was okay. The story had to go to the wayside so we can make sure that my photographer was okay. That was crazy.
Safety is more important, obviously. Yeah. Lapel mic or handheld?
Lapel.
Best dressed anchor on TV besides you?
David Ono.
Oh. What's a news story you wish you could revisit with today's lens?
Oh my God, my mind is racing. This is not rapid fire. Gosh. I guess the wildfires. I wish that I could, knowing what we come out of, just cover it better. You know, ask better questions. I think we were reacting, or I know I was reacting, but I could have asked better questions. And you know, I was compassionate, but I think so many times in breaking news situations, you're trying to show the scale. And it is sensational, right? Because it's so visual. But remembering that these are lives. Yeah. These are people. And I think if I could revisit that story, if I could revisit some interviews, I would just show a little bit more humanity, that I am standing in somebody's, what used to be their home. Do I need to be standing so close? This is somebody's property. Right? So just something like that.
Yeah. What one headline that best describes your 2025 so far?
Oh my God. What headline?
Yeah.
Shit show.
Literally. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna end those with that one. It's we're gonna end with that one. It's been a shit show, to say the least. But we're taking it one day at a time.
One day at a time.
One day at a time.
Oh my God.
Our last segment is called My First Time. I feel like you might have already answered this, but I'll just throw it out there and maybe we'll pass it and maybe not. But basically, it's a segment where we share for our audience who are still struggling in the closet, you know, your first queer crush, queer kiss, queer date, queer sexual experience. And kind of the goal is to demystify that for those.
Okay. So my first queer crush would be Karamo Brown on Real World when he did the Philadelphia season. I don't remember any other castmates but him. And I think what drew me to him so much was that, to me, he looked like me. He liked somebody that I would know, right? And yeah, I just thought he was attractive and I just wanted to know his story. And I even wrote about the fact that for the Huffington Post, I wrote about Black gay men on TV, and it's not all what you see. We're multi-layered. Yeah. And I used him as an example. I used Jussie Smollett's character on Empire as an example, as someone who like did not fit what you typically saw as a black gay man on TV. And so Karamo was my first crush. Jamal Lyon on Empire would have been my second crush.
I love that. Well, Tim, I feel like I could talk to you all day long.
Yeah, this has been great.
You're so incredible. I'm so excited.
You're incredible.
Oh, thank you. But like, I am excited to just see you soar, and I'm excited for your book, and I'm excited to just like, for all the things. So where can people find you on social?
You can find me at ABC7 Tim on Instagram and Facebook.
Great. Well, Tim, coming out looks good on you. Thank you so much.
Looks good on you too.
Yes. Well, I'll see you soon.